Welcome to the channel, welcome to the channel, welcome to the channel, yeah. Hello, this is Kamaria or Black Sign Creates, and this is probably one of my most anticipated videos of the whole entire year. As you know from the title, this is me setting up my reading journal for 2026, and full transparency, you know, life be lifin', and I don't have the extra financial funds to buy myself a journal. So, because I got kids, I got to make Christmas magic happen. Our second car just broke down. We have to fix that. My husband broke his phone. I have to buy him a new phone. So I can't really justify buying a new journal for myself. So I'm kind of using what I have around the house. And so I'm kind of showing you what is happening. So I had made a cover years and years and years ago. I covered it with an old skirt and Mod Podged it. And so what I'm going to do for 2026 is kind of insert style. So I had twine left over, and I'm going to kind of do inserts like a traveler's notebook. And I had a old journal that I had made with a kit like 2 years ago. Somebody had approached me to make a junk journal with their journal kit, and it was books and coffee themed. And that notebook wasn't really my style, so I didn't use it. I just made it in a collaboration, and it just sat in a box. So I basically ripped it apart and used some of the pages and folded them, and that's going to be my first insert. So I'm decorating that right now, and I'm going to do my kind of yearly pages in the first insert. That's all of these kind of junk journal style coffee and book themed pages. So my reading journal for 2026 is going to be kind of using inserts. I had an old composition notebook that I also ripped apart just to get the paper inside. And I'm going to use that as like my second insert because I like to make a collage for every single book I read or some kind of review or whatever. In 2025, I couldn't do that because, again, I didn't buy a whole bunch of materials to make my 2025 journal. I also used what I had for 2025 as well. So I couldn't really journal in the way I wanted to. So I cut apart a composition notebook, but I cut it from the binding. So if you open a composition notebook, it's usually sewn together. So I cut through the threads to keep the pages kind of intact. So I have a lot of real estate to be able to do a review for every single book. And I usually read about 100 to 150 books a year. So I really like to document every single book, even if it was mid, even if it's just a review and not a full collage. This is me looking at my 2025 journal to see what kind of yearly pages I want to do. So I'm in my first little insert of papers, and nothing's bound together. I'm literally kind of just putting it through that twine and folding it over. And this kind of makes it so like I can take pages in and out and move stuff around if I want to. And I also have a couple of journals that are reading adjacent. So I have another junk journal that I made for the Magical Readathon, which is a readathon done by G over at Book Roast, but that's like a long-term journal, because the way it's set up is you go to magic school and you do that readathon, and it takes like 4 years to finish. So I didn't want to put it in my year journal because it's going to go for more than 1 year. But this way I can kind of keep it in my reading journal as an insert that's just in the back. So that's kind of good. So all my reading journals can be in one place. So that's kind of nice. And then I also have one more. I am kind of silently doing Herkit, which is the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And that kind of spans 2025 and 2026. So that's another kind of junk journal that I made that I can kind of just throw in a back, like an insert, like a traveler's notebook insert. So my reading journal for 2025 is basically just a mishmash of junk journaling, traveler's notebook insert style, using scraps that I had around the house. So I didn't have to buy a whole bunch of stuff because I don't have a whole bunch of stuff. So the first thing I'm doing, which you're going to see me mess it up because I was trying to make perfect circles and I was trying to use stuff. Anyway, I messed it up. So now I'm going to like cover it. I also don't have any glue right now. And I know like in your mind's like, hey, glue's not that expensive, but you know what? Like my mind gets really weird when I am kind of nickel and diming it, having to budget. And I'd like, okay, $1 or $2 for glue or $1 or $2 for a pack of ramen. You know what I mean? Because it just be like that. So I'm just using stickers to glue stuff down, washi tape, random washi tape I found, just random things to decorate and glue stuff down if I need to. So the first layout that I'm doing is my book tracker. So at least for the first 100, I like to color in like a circle or a box. And I'm kind of using some random dot stickers that I found. And you'll see that I use some of the dots and I'm going to like number them. But then I also used like the outline of the dots as well because I didn't have enough dots to make 100. So sometimes you just got to improvise. Okay, y'all, this is like super DIY. You're broke as a joke, you know. And not everybody has like a stash, but if you're a junk journaler, you probably have a stash, a hoarding stash of a drawer full of paper and things like that to kind of whip something up. Because I know, especially this time of year where everybody's getting ready, showing off their 2026 journals, it can be a little disheartening if you can't drop $40-$50 on a new journal and all this new stationery and you can get FOMO. So I'm just kind of doing what I can with what I have. And I've been doing a reading journal for like 4 or 5 years now. And it seems like the longer I go, the less I do, more minimalist, because this is me trying to like do uniform circles, and I'm going to keep messing up until I go to my dot idea, by the way. But going back to, I realize that like there are a lot of things that I do in my reading journal that kind of, I don't know, make it this video boring maybe, because I'm not going to do a whole bunch of different yearly spreads. There are only a few things that I really like to track, and I also use Storygraph to kind of track a lot of my stuff. So I don't really want to double up too much of having to write stuff in my reading journal and also track it on the app. But I'm also just a very like tactile person. I like to write stuff out as well. So a lot of these beginning pages aren't going to be a whole bunch. And there are a lot of reading journal videos out there now, and people be extra and doing all of these bingo boards and all of these different trackers, series. And I tried a few of them and I just didn't keep up with them. So a lot of times when you do journaling, you have to kind of look at what's working for you, what you actually use. Because for me, I think it's pointless to set up a whole bunch of trackers and a whole bunch of spreads that I'm not going to keep up with. And it's going to make my journaling habit die. Because if I'm not excited to go into my journal, I'm not going to use it, you know? So you kind of have to find what works for you. And I think sometimes it can get hard when you're on social media and you see all these beautiful spreads and you see all of these things and you're like, oh, well, I should be doing that. It's like, no, y'all, find out what works for you, what you want to track, what makes you happy, what makes your system work for you, instead of just kind of going with what everybody else is doing. I know it's hard, but comparison is the thief of joy, okay? So I am doing a counting to 100, and I always go over 100, but my goal usually for the year is always 100. So I'm gonna probably either speed through it or just kind of show what it looks like when it's done, because it's literally just a lot of me just putting down these circles, and then numbering them and whatever, and that's not really interesting. But yeah, I usually always read 100, and for some reason, it's very satisfying to color in the circles as I'm doing it. And then once I get past 100, I kind of don't really care. And as far as the rest of my yearly kind of pages go, I don't really all the time know what readathons I'm going to be participating in or what I'm going to be tracking. A lot of times I just stumble across a readathon on YouTube and throw it in there. I do participate every single year in the Buzzword readathon. That's a readathon that's all year. It's hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala. And she usually always has words that you find in the titles. And every month has a different word. I always do that one. I've previously done a bingo board. And I'll find just a random board with prompts. But I filled it out in my 2025. I just didn't care, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because I read so much, y'all, that I'm always going to get a blackout. It's not challenging for me. It was just kind of a fun way. I know some people, I was thinking about doing a romance trope bingo, but I read a lot of romance and I would hit that no matter what. I just think for me, for 2026, having a bingo board is silly. For me. I think if I was a person that only read 50 books a year, 20 books a year, it would be a little bit more challenging to try to get into the prompts. But because I read so much, it's my main hobby. It's my hyperfixation, honestly. Always has been since I was a kid. I just don't think that having a bingo board challenge is really a challenge, and it would just take up space in my journal for no reason. I previously tried a series tracker, but there aren't that many series I really keep up with. And if I do, I don't really need to write them down or anything. So other ideas, because I didn't do a series tracker, but some people do. Oh, here are my anticipated reads. But unless it's by an author that I really love, I don't really keep track of what's coming out. Especially nowadays, a lot of books are just getting the fast track to getting published. Authors writing multiple books in a year. The quality of books in the recent years has just kind of gone down, because I personally think that a book should take a long time to write. You know what I'm saying? I think it's pretty standard to have a year or two in between books. I think that's natural and how it should be. But anyway, so I don't really keep track of anticipated reads. but reading a whole bunch of new books, if that's your thing, set up a tracker for that. Also, some people like to do the, 26, 25 and 25, 26 and 26, 26 books that they want to read. I'm also not going to do that. So right now I'm doing my Buzzword readathon, and the good thing about having a little junk journal, reading journal, I have all these little random tidbits and tip-ins and all sorts of things. So I'm going to put my buzzword readathon in this little card. And it's already decorated because it's from an old journal that I ripped apart, like Frankenstein. I'm just putting all these mismatched parts of different journals together to make my reading journal. It's a Franken journal. But usually for the buzzword readathon, every month has like a different word. So we don't know those yet. She hasn't released them. So I'm just kind of making the grid, putting the months in, and then I can always add the word in later. And then I like to write the title of the book that I used for that theme or word. So and I also just think it's kind of cute that I have all these little tip-ins and little like hidden tuck-away spots that I can put my different things on and decorations, and it just makes it look kind of whimsical and cute, and I feel like I won't get bored of it. Because if I had all the funds, money in the world, I would have bought a new journal and I would have been able to decorate it and I had planned to have everything blank and just like hand write out everything and decorate by hand and all that stuff. So this way is almost kind of better. Like I actually am really liking how it's turning out. I'm definitely sticking with like a bookish and coffee theme. I'm using a lot of browns, a lot of tans, neutral colors. I had been gifted a sticker book for my birthday that had a lot of black girls reading inside. So I'm just kind of adding a few of those here and there. So I have this sparkly brown gel pen that I'm doing a lot of my titles in. And again, I keep looking at my 2025 journal just to see like what I want to include. And honestly, there's not much, but I'm also going to leave space for things if I want to add them in later. Because that happens to me all the time where I'll set something up in the the beginning of the year and have everything ready to go and then like not have any space as I go along in the year. Because like I said, I find random readathons, I find random things. So my one section right here is called readathons. And I just set up the buzzword readathon and then I'm going to leave the rest blank because I don't really know what readathons I'm going to participate in. I was looking in my past one, it's like, so sometimes, but people I don't know if certain readathons are going to continue as the year goes along because a lot of content creators burn out. And so I'm just leaving a lot of space because sometimes I do the Missy Elliott readathon that happens in February, the Asian readathon that happens in May. There are all these readathons that I've done in the past, but I don't know if those are actually indefinitely going to be happening. So I did leave a couple of extra pages for readathons that might pop up because I want all my readathons to be like in the beginning in my yearly stats instead of kind of interdispersed in the months because I want to be able to find them all in one spot instead of kind of like, because I'm also going to have like a monthly stats pages, but I don't want the readathons to be in the stats essentially. I want everything to have its own spot. But what I love about these pages that I had used in this previous journal, a lot of them are coffee dyed, tea dyed, so it just makes it look so nice. So I'm glad I kind of found that journal that I made 2 years ago and I'm doing something with it. So like that's a little tidbit and I'm just putting monthly stats and that's going to be like the title. And I'm just going to put January, February, I am doing like kind of a full page for the first few months because I'm always like super extra in the first few months of the year until I start like getting slumpy towards the middle. So I usually read so many books in January and February. And then I also realized that I was going to run out of space. So these are just going to be my stats pages. And then I have like a little pocket right there that I can stick stuff in. So it's going to be a true like junk journal-y reading journal. Definitely interesting, and I hopefully will not get bored. This is me counting out the months. And I'm a stats nerd, so I like to write how many books I read in the month, what my top genres were, my page count, things like that. So that's why I like to have like a breakdown monthly. And that'll kind of do it for my yearly spread. So I set up my book tracker, I set up, my Buzzword readathon. I left some extra pages for whatever readathons might pop up, and then did my stats pages, super minimalistic and simple. And now I'm going to put in my other insert. So this is the pages that I took from a composition notebook that I ripped apart. And you see how I'm just kind of sliding it into this twine, so I don't have to worry about sewing anything in, or also, I tend to collage in my reading journal, and a problem I've had before in the past is my pages get too bulky and it usually breaks the binding because I put a lot of papers and stuff inside. So this way I can kind of have a little bit more wiggle room. So this is where I'm going to put my either collages for books I really liked. So those are, I don't really do a star system, but if I would equate it to a star system. So my 4s and my 5s are usually what I tend to make like a little collage for. And I like to do it on theme for the book. So if the book was like a romance about a baker, I would find donut stickers or stationery that was on theme with the book. But I'm also going to just track every single book I read, because that's what I really like to do, even if it's just like a mini review, a couple of sentences here and there. But I really want to go back to documenting every single book I read, because I read a lot and my memory sucks. Because a lot of times at the end of the year, I don't really remember what the book was about. So I have a couple of just line pages that I can use for that, and I should hopefully have plenty of space. But if I run out of room, I can always make another insert and just put it in there. That's the beauty of it kind of being more flexible. This is my magical readathon journal that I just slid in there, and here's my HERKID, my hardest reading challenge you'll ever do insert that I'm just kind of sliding in. And that way I can have all my inserts together and bing, bang, boom. That's pretty much the reading journal. I'm going to add a few extra stickers on the cover because I had them left over. But yeah, so using what I had in my arsenal to kind of make my very DIY Frankenstein minimalist reading journal for 2026. I'm going to do like a kind of mini flip through so you can kind of see what we did and how it looks. But hopefully this was interesting, even though I didn't do a lot of spreads. But I'm actually really excited. It's not any shape or form what I wanted to do, or what I had planned originally, but I dug through my supplies. I made it work, because sometimes the coolest projects and the best art comes from when you don't have a lot of supplies and when you don't have a lot of things, and you can still make something functional and beautiful and that gets the job done. So I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.